everybody. Welcome back. It's good to see you all. Sorry, this is my first time checking in this week. Next up, we've got Michelle Perez, and she's going to be talking about licensing in games. And so, with that, I'll get out of your way, Michelle, and let you go.
Perfect. Thank you, Jay, and thank you to the organization for the opportunity to share with you all my experience with licensing and the little I know after almost 18 years of experience in the video games industry. So today I would like to give you the tools to use IP licensing to accelerate your game's growth. We'll dive into some interesting topics. Don't pay too much attention to the order of this agenda, but we'll be talking about why you should be considering licensing for your games. Why is it good, especially for user acquisition and retention and growth? Some case studies, and then a step-by-step process on how to do things. A little bit about my background. So I'm a senior digital strategist, let's say that, specializing in helping game developers and publishers boost their exposure and revenues through IP alliances and marketing strategies. On the right, you will see some of the companies I have worked for in these, almost 20 years, sounds like a long time, but Gameloft. Maybe during the presentation, you will see that I'm a little bit biased by mobile gaming because that's where I've lived for a long time in mobile games. Mondia, a tech company, a Global Fan, a mobile games developer, Oh Baby Games, Ethermax, 10 Square Games, etc. So I've done a lot of different types of work with several companies. Lately, I've been permanently consulting for Player 2, which is a great agency based in the US, also doing licensing and partnerships. So lately I've been awarded a few prizes. I'm very proud of having been nominated to Top Women in Games 2024. I've been also awarded the influential title by Global Licensing Magazine a few years ago already, and I'm also Women in Games ambassador. So and these are some of the IPs I've had the pleasure, I've been lucky enough to learn from in all these years. I've worked with AAA IPs such as Disney, Lucasfilms, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Marvel, Universal, Mattel, Sega, Sanrio, Studio Canal. So very happy to have met so many great people along the way in the area of licensing and IP partnerships. And these are some of the games I've worked on. There are a few more, but I'm especially proud and happy of these collaborations. Minion Rush with the Despicable Me movie license, Disney Magic Kingdoms. More recently, a collaboration with between Fall Guys and Hello Kitty. Asphalt, the whole Asphalt franchise. Actually, I took over the licensing of the cars inside the game, of course, together with my team at Gameloft, like many years ago. And I left it at the release of Asphalt 9, and I know there are now hundreds of cars, and it's a super beautiful game to play. And Paddington Run, and so many others. So I have worked with entertainment IP, with video game IP, with the sports, more recently as well with anime. Anime, it's a big trend, as you all know. So also working with the likes of famous anime IP holders. So maybe we can start diving into it. Just a few disclaimers about this presentation. It's going to be kind of platform agnostic. Maybe some of you are in PC or console or even mobile, or even AR, VR, or interactive worlds. I don't know if Roblox is something that you guys are doing here, but I've tried to be platform agnostic with the little heads up I gave earlier that I might tend to go towards mobile, also because in mobile gaming you tend to see more of these IP collaborations. Yeah, and I'll try to be as clear and concise as possible. Right? Okay. So yeah, so some numbers, some graphs. I'm not a graphs person, but sometimes you really need it. So as you can see, I mean, IP and brand collaborations positively impact game engagement in the short term. Over the past several years, IP and brand collaborations boosted DAU by an average of 11% in the first 7 days following the launch. All this, of course, I've sourced all this information from the likes of Newzoo and Sensor Tower, so you will see a few graphs from them. Thank you. So and then multiple factors can impact how effective IP or brand collaborations are for games. Of course, there is brand fit, there is timing, there is the marketing budget you put into it. Is it a free-to-play game? Is it premium game? But yeah, normally DAU peaks between the 4th and the 5th days of the event, and then slowly returns to pre-collab levels. Of course, if we are talking about an event, right? We will see afterwards how this also impacts when the game is fully branded with the IP. So the highest number of collabs as well in the last few years have been between game IPs, which is an interesting fact as well to know. Also some preliminary considerations here. There should be some graphs with some numbers, but I didn't have time to really work on them, but I will explain to you. So first of all, for mobile games, again, as you may know, user acquisition costs in the mobile games world are just like crazy. Because of the app tracking transparency policy, the average of the CPM was $19.31 in the first half of 2022, and so like up 18% month on month. So really, if you are familiar with the UA acquisition techniques and budgets and so on, it is quite expensive. So you can see IP licensing as a way to leverage that, because there is no magic and there is no magic formula, and I don't think that IP licensing should be seen as a way to downsize US cost, but more like a way to boost the monetization of the game. Another interesting data in Newzoo again in 2022 shows that high spenders are 2.84 times more likely to download a game based on a familiar IP or with some IP components. And while only 9% of games licensed IP, these games accounted for nearly 25% of the overall revenue. So the impact of IP licensing on revenue for games reveals an 8% increase on average over the last 3 years. So it is really interesting. So 8% increase average. Okay, all these numbers, I mean, they are a bit, I mean, it's not from exactly now, for 2024. I don't have specific data for 2024, but overall, the trend is positive. It's clear that if you use an IP, it will help with your DAUs and it will help with your revenue. Okay, so another interesting chart, and here we're talking about PC console games specifically. Every top PC console 2023 launch was an IP game. The top release of the year was Warner Bros. Hogwarts Legacy, a new game from the Harry Potter IP that you all probably have seen it. The number 2 was Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3. Then we have 3 were sequels: Legends of Zelda, Diablo, Star Wars. And 2 were annual installments of franchises like Madden and eSports FC. So yeah, again, dominance of IP-based games, either like big franchises or recent IP with new versions of AAA games. Another reason I'm just giving you arguments of why IP is good. Of course, during the Q&A, you can tell me no, this is not true. We can talk, but the data we have today shows that it is positive. And I wanted to show a use case with Dead by Daylight, which has become known for its crossovers with iconic horror IPs. So it consistently offers new skins, characters, maps, mechanics, and stories. For instance, 2 chapters from Resident Evil and Ringu boosted the release week DAU by 31% and 29%, far above the average of 11%. So really, 31%, 11%, good. So these partnerships really set a precedent for future collaborations, and you can benefit from factors like base game discounts and added content. So these IP collaborations really resonate with a fan base which is already familiar and is already attracted to this type of IP because it is they are themed like. And as we will see later, when you decide to use an IP, the research phase is very important because there needs to be a fit between the game mechanics, the genre, and the IP you choose. Otherwise, yeah, it won't work. So summarizing, why leveraging the power of IP collabs for your game can make sense: brand recognition and trust, increased engagement, creative inspiration. When you talk to the licensor, to the IP owner, and they share with you their Bible with their assets and their plans and their creative ideas, sometimes it happens that the production team, the creative team say, hey, yeah, let's do this. It's super inspiring. It's a beautiful process to see how that expands the creative possibilities of your game. Of course, when you use an IP, you expand your audience reach. You can do cross promotions with the IP owner. You can indeed reach people that normally maybe wouldn't go to your game if they enter through their interest of the IP you've used. Of course, it gives you another leverage. Of course, other marketing opportunities, as we will see later. Establishing the right rules to create the marketing plan together with your IP owner, it's super important because the reason why you are paying or why you are sharing revenue with them, it's also to leverage their marketing power. So if you, let's say, I'm giving a silly example, but you partner with Disney, of course, if Disney releases a PR and you are and you feature in this PR, it will give great opportunity for you to be better known in the space, and of course increase monetization opportunities. Right? I mean, you probably earn more revenue than if you didn't use an IP, but that's why licensing is good for you as a game studio, developer, or publisher. But for the IP owner, for the brands, the space, it's super interesting. It is, I mean, for the last few years, it is already so that it's kind of a strategic movement to have a presence in interactive worlds, in video games, and because it's brands want to be relevant for the culture, for the current culture. So it adds cultural relevance to the brand. It builds more ubiquity and awareness. It allows the brand to grow strategically into new demographics. There are innovation opportunities. There is more marketing opportunities to collaborate with between the IP owner and the studio. And of course, as well, it's an additional revenue stream for the IP owner. So really, it's a win-win situation where you as a game publisher benefit from a solid audience, a fan base that already exists attached to an IP. On the other hand, the brand also benefits from the innovation and the great products you are going to release. Great. So let's dive now into the step-by-step process. So I've tried to do this in a very methodical way. It's a little master class. I will stop. I will take longer in some of the points. If not, you will. You can definitely ask your questions in the chat. Great. So this is the roadmap of a licensing deal. Okay. So first we will have the research phase. Then, or in parallel, we have the business plan preparation. You have to do your numbers. Then we will have the outreach phase to the right IP owners. For that, we also need to have a great pitch. Then we will have to outline the deal terms that we are going to offer to the IP owner. Then we will enter the contract phase, which sometimes, depending on who you are dealing with, can be super long and very complicated or not. Then the development phase, where again we will see how important it is to pay attention to details when you negotiate the contracts, and we to make it as smooth as possible. The go-to-market phase, the marketing, the pre-launch, during launch, and post-launch, and then super important not to forget the reporting phase and the account management phase. You want to your goal is to have a long and solid relationship with the brand, with the IP owner. Fantastic. So let's dive into the first point, the research phase. So here, after all we've seen at the beginning, you realize that, okay, actually partnering with an IP could be a good idea for my game. So the next thing is which one? So we need to pay attention to things that may seem obvious, but I've seen mistakes during my career that were obvious things afterwards. But if we had given some better thoughts to it, like putting a kid's IP together with a super complicated RPG, probably it won't work. So first you need to look at, okay, your game, what's the genre? If it's, let's imagine it's a match 3 game, probably, I don't know, it won't make sense to partner with a super hardcore gaming IP. Or maybe, sometimes innovation has its own way, but yeah, game genre, it's important. There is a methodology that I personally like to apply to really assess your studios or your game's values together with the brand values. Do we share values? It's like a marriage almost. Do we share the same values here? So yeah, you do a value map. and you go deep into the identity of the brand and the identity of your game, and you see if there is a match. Of course, the IP popularity, and often this is attached to maybe the price you might need to pay. But the IP popularity is not just about how many people know the IP, but also have a look at their socials. Nowadays, of course, you cannot release a marketing campaign without a proper like social media campaign. So of course, if they have good numbers, if they have interesting activities there, then it's of course even worth looking at. Estimate costs. You know that if you're targeting Star Wars, probably you would need a budget to be able to start talking with them. The target audience. Are you targeting kids? Are you targeting young adults? Are you targeting women, men? So demographics are super important. Then trends. I mean, for the last few years, there is a real trend in anime. For example, I'm just giving an example, right? But yeah, some things are into fashion, or there are gaps that you have identified, and maybe you are going to try and fulfill. Geo markets appeal. So where are you releasing your game? Normally, of course, it's worldwide, but if you know that you already have a strong audience in LATAM, maybe you want to feed your LATAM audience with more LATAM IP, or you need to grow your audience in Asia. So maybe you think about partnering with anime or with a local IP. And something that probably you won't think about at the beginning, but maybe when you partner with a consultant or or somebody who knows how the different brands work, the working culture, how does that brand work? Sometimes it's a bit difficult because they are super tight with their way to approach licensing. They're very protective of their IP, so they will put a lot of barriers for you to be creative or for you to actually do stuff. But with other IP owners, it's amazing to work with. They are super flexible. It's about a co-creative approach instead of telling you what to do. So yeah, I think it's more about the culture of the company in terms of how they work. One thing I forgot to say before, during this path, for me, the licensing game is the trust game. You want to build trust in each of the different phases of your way with your brand owner. It's about building trust in the long term and a strong relationship. Okay, so we had a look at the research phase, and then we go into the business plan. So here I've made it on purpose. I'm exposing a bit of a complex model, which takes into account everything like your development cost, the support cost. I mean, in this example, we're talking about like a live service game. So support and the very expensive one. Don't pay attention to the actual numbers, but just the lines. And this is I'm not saying that all the business plans to figure out the royalty costs and the financials need to be like that. You will have your own models, but I just want to make sure that this is done. I mean, you need to anticipate your costs, and as entrepreneurs, as indie developers, which I think most of you are or not, numbers are one of the first things you want to be mindful of, and also because the IP owner, they will also want to see this, or some high level version of it. They will need to know very soon what are your revenue forecasts. I mean, what's the the opportunity size. In some cases, they might want to partner with you because your product is so awesome that, okay, I don't care so much about the monetization because this is going to bring a great halo of innovation to my brand. But in most cases, they will want to see their profit line. Okay. In this presentation, I don't want to get into estimates of, how much royalty to expect, not in detail because it can vary a lot. But yeah, usually we're talking between 10 to 15%, but it depends on the nature of the deal, right? I mean, we are really here talking about general standards. Perfect. Then, okay, we have our research phase. We have more or less done our numbers. We have a high-level vision about our costs and how much we will earn with this game. Now that we have identified, the type of IP we want to collaborate with, it's the outreach phase. And this is a moment that's undervalued, but not every door that you're going to knock on is going to respond. One, because maybe you're small yet, maybe because it's a big organization and they just don't they don't have time. The IP themselves, they are not used to this type of deal. It can take long to have that first valuable conversation with the IP owner. So my recommendation is that I'm giving the anime example again. If you want to do anime, maybe target 3 or 4 different IPs that are relevant and target the different IP owners at the same time, to just kick off the conversations. You don't even need to send a presentation in the first email. Just trigger that first meeting somehow, maybe with a high level vision of what you want to do, but try several. Don't obsess with one partner, unless of course you want that IP, then of course, but try to have several options. Okay, so now that you have triggered that meeting or that first conversation, what does the IP owner expect? What does the licensor expect to see to finalize? I mean, to go to that next level. As I said earlier, everything is about building trust. You need to reassure them on several aspects. And this is what they will expect from you. They will expect that you have a good distribution network, that your company has, eventually a good market share in your category, that you have good processes implemented, that the quality of your product is amazing, that you as a studio maybe have a financial stability, or I'm not saying that you have it, but you need to reassure them on the fact that, you are getting there, right? They might be looking at, okay, do you have a name? Do you have a reputation as a studio that's meaningful? They will look at the marketing commitments you're ready to make, of course, your sales forecast and your financial proposal, and very important as well, on whether you've worked with any other licensors in the past. So considering all these aspects, all these things they are looking for, what should you deliver? So you will deliver a pitch with some slides, with the game description. I mean, it doesn't need to be super comprehensive at this stage, but at least, the key game features, your unique selling point. Why is your game so special? There are, I don't know, an easy category, or not so easy. Let's see. There are 100 match 3s out there. Why is your match 3 so special? What innovation did you bring to it? Why is it going to be successful? Why do I want to have my brand attached to it? Which platforms, of course? Which timelines are we talking about? I mean, are you planning to release this event or this update or this full branded game in 2 months, 3 months, 1 year? Normally, you really need to start all these conversations at least 6 months before your planned release date, even more. It takes time. They will want to see your studio overview. What have you done in the past? The team bios. I mean, if you have the identified leaders in your studio, who are you? What have you done in the past? Which other games have you produced? Then, if we look at the game closer, I mean, can you provide some mock-ups right at the beginning, some concept art? It depends. I mean, you don't really need to do this in the first pitch, but you will need to have something prepared maybe for the second or third meeting. You need to start preparing something. They will want to see how their IP, their assets will look in your game. Which awards have you obtained in the past? What's your go-to-market strategy? What's, high-level marketing plan? I don't know. Even, if you can give some idea about the investments you are ready to make in marketing, is good. Of course, very difficult to have it at this stage, but just a general overview of how you approach marketing. For example, I don't know, you are planning to partner with some top influencers. Maybe that's an interesting thing for the IP owner. And yeah, you will need to deliver some high-level forecasts. At this stage of the pitch, you don't send a business proposal yet. You don't send the actual deal, the deal terms. That will come when they say, "Hey, yes, we like this. What do you propose?" And that's when you send your basic business terms. Okay. So here I'm sharing a basic deal structure. My background is in law, but with this and of course with my experience, I know a thing or two about how this should be looking like. But don't take this as set on stone. This is very high level description. I'm just giving my little disclaimer. And of course, if you want to know more, you can reach me out and I can share with you some more details. But this is a basic deal structure. What the basic terms of the contract need to look into. So first, the grant of license. So which rights are you asking for? Are we doing an event? Are we doing a full game? Are we doing an ongoing participation of a specific character of the IP into your game? So here is, what are we actually licensing? Are we licensing the whole universe of the IP or just some elements of it? Right? I mean, we need to really define what it is that we are licensing. Then, of course, the minimum guarantee or the fee. This is an amount that the licensor will expect to receive for those rights. In some cases, we can waive this. Okay, if you can do some little magic. In some cases, no. The minimum guarantee versus the fee is an upfront of the total forecasted royalties you are expecting to pay the licensor within the duration of your deal. Whereas the fee is just a set fee. It's just like straightforward. Like, fees are more common when you are doing an event. It doesn't really make sense to do royalties when you do a short event. Whereas a minimum guarantee makes sense when there is a royalty involved. As I said before, I mean, what I said about the royalties, I'm not here to give you guidance in terms of how much it will cost you, because it really depends on a case-by-case basis and on your negotiating skills. But as you know, the royalty, it's a percentage of the revenue, or I mean, the sales that you will get from the game commerce sales. The term normally it's 2 years. The term of the duration of the licensing agreement is normally 2 years. Territory, where are you going to use this? Normally, you can ask for global rights, unless it's a very specific thing, but normally it's global. Exclusivity. So in the past, we could see more exclusive deals, but right now you don't see them so often. You can ask for an exclusivity window, say that no other games are able to release an event or anything related to the IP within the 3 months after I release mine, for example, or 6 months. But yeah, exclusivity, I mean, you can try to negotiate something. The approval conditions. So yeah, what's the approval process? Is it like you submit the assets and you need 5 days, 10 days to get their feedback or whatever? The payment terms. When are you supposed to pay? Of course, this is interesting to have in mind when you think about your cash flow, right? Which is very tied to the reporting. Reporting normally is a quarterly reporting. So every 3 months, you need to send a royalty report to the IP owner with the sales number and the shares, the revenue share they are getting, and then they will invoice you, and then you will have to pay. Okay. Commitments in terms of marketing, or in terms of like special obligations that each of you have agreed on during the negotiation. Insurance, the protection against potential claims or liabilities related to the licensing agreement. Termination, what happens when the contract ends? This is very important. Sometimes we don't pay enough attention to that, but what happens after the contract ends? And warranties and indemnities. This is a more legal jargon. Okay. Okay, so let's say, hey, congrats, you have signed your you have signed your agreements. Then we can start to develop our game. The agreements, I've seen contract negotiations that have that took a year to get signed. So be patient, and it depends pretty much on the legal team you have in front of you and your own legal team. Anyway, so patience, I would say, with contract negotiation. Then you enter into the development phase. So it is also often not discussed enough, but you really need to fix the right milestones. Normally, you have month 1 when the project starts. You will have the design specs, the story, the concept, the art, everything. All this needs to be submitted always, for the development phase and for the marketing phase. Everything must be submitted. I've seen cases where the developer has released stuff which was not submitted, and it has created really big crisis with big entertainment companies. So you really need to pay attention to that, and always communicate a lot with the approval teams on the IP owner side. Then you will have established the alpha version, the beta version, then QA, and then the submission to the distribution channels. So I see I have 10-15 more minutes. So if you see I'm accelerating a bit, it's because of that. Okay, then after the development, so you did your research, you did your outreach, you did your negotiation, your contract, you developed the experience, and you need to market that experience before you release. Here, I just put together a very simple marketing plan. Of course, we're not here to talk about marketing plans, but I just wanted to highlight the opportunities you have to take. I mean, here you have the opportunity to leverage the IP owners' marketing resources and marketing powers. This is one of the main reasons you are paying for a license, to really collaborate with the brands on your marketing. So really make sure to include them in as many lines of your plan as you can, right? Can you use their social media? Can you use their influencers? Or, imagine it's a movie and they say, hey, yeah, you can use our talents. You can use the actors that are coming up in the new movie to talk about your game. Hey, great. We can even feature your game in the series. You need to be creative around that. But always try to leverage your licensors' marketing resources as much as you can. This is an example, with Top Gun. There was a collaboration with Ace Combat 7 and Microsoft Flight Simulator that's again boosted DAUs significantly. And really, these partnerships really captured the excitement of the franchise because it was a great fit with the games, and it was released alongside the film, so that generated a lot of buzz. Apart from that, the Top Gun Maverick marketing movie release had an amazing marketing plan anyway attached to it, but they really managed to implement the gaming experiences very well to tie them in very well into the movie release marketing plan. More and more, we are talking about transmedia IP, about how IP translates into different consumer touch points and consumer worlds. So this kind of like it can be tied into that, right? How you can make your IP as appealing as possible in different environments. So this is just a great example of marketing activation for an IP collaboration. Great. And finally, reporting and account management. I just wanted to make a little hint to one of the games I worked with. Like, as you can see, many years ago, last year, Minion Rush celebrated their 10th anniversary. And it's a 10-year relationship between an IP owner and a game publisher. And that is because there is just great communication, great alignment from a creative perspective. If you are thinking about your plan, always make sure that the IP milestones match your game. I don't know, for example, when you are working on a marketing plan and Valentine's Day is coming, then you try to do something related to Valentine's. So the same thing with the IP. Are they releasing a new, I don't know, are they celebrating something tied to the IP? Try to contribute to that celebration as well. Of course, reporting. I didn't want to get too much into that, but if you need royalty reporting models or templates, please reach out. I would be happy to share that with you, because of course that's the key part at the end. I mean, the IP owner wants to partner with you because you are going to somehow pay them. So that's key to have that super neat and super organized, but of course your financial teams, I'm sure they will do that great. Of course, communication, you're here for the long run, and also try, if you see an end coming, try to plan ahead for that. Great. Final considerations. Licensing IP into your game will not generate installs on its own. everything is beautiful, but licensing IP, I mean, don't expect it to generate millions of organic downloads, because it won't be so. You need to be realistic. Despite everything I said at the beginning, if the IP integration or collaboration doesn't come with the right marketing plan or even marketing investment, people won't know that it exists. So it's not really, the objective is not to reduce UA costs itself, but to bolster unit economics. Okay, so it's a balanced approach, right? Licensing is not magic, but it's a great tool. IP partnerships can take time to cultivate and to build, and I mean, it's licensing is a long-term trust, patience. It's not because you are paying the IP owner that they are going to give away everything. And here's just an example of how Scopely has been working with Hasbro for many, many, many years. But as you can see, I mean, Monopoly Go, which is now like the super performer game, which is a Hasbro license taken by Scopely. It's, I mean, they're seeing this big success now, right? Although I mean, they partnered with Hasbro in 2015. Of course, they had a huge success as well with Yahtzee, with Buddies, and everything. But it's just a good example. I just wanted to say that successful IP partnerships or super successful IP partnerships, like in this case, take time to cultivate. There are some challenges when approaching licensing, and especially as a smaller studio. Determining the right IP for your game, establish contacts with the IP owners and engage in smooth conversations, prepare and submit the right pitch and build trust with it. Maybe you lack resources and in-house knowledge for this negotiation. Manage the product approvals and marketing asset approvals can also be, a bit difficult, and also, confront the restrictions in creativity that the IP owner might impose. And of course, managing all the royalty reports and the account management. So these are common challenges. There are some stones on the way, but nothing that you cannot survive. Also with the help of the experts. And finally, I mean, these are some of the questions you might need to ask yourself if you are considering licensing. I mean, and by the way, this is not in order. This is not a logical map. It's just some ideas thrown out there, right? Don't think about the connection points but, questions to ask yourself. I mean, financial considerations, brand alignment, creative freedom. Do I want to sacrifice my creative freedom to partner with an IP? Is there really market potential? What's the brand reputation? What are the integration possibilities, the marketing, legal aspects, long-term benefits, exit strategy? I have written an article on my LinkedIn about how actually IP licensing can even bolster, I mean, increase, enhance your value as a company. But that's another topic. Technical considerations, etc. There are many questions to ask yourself before really making the decision. So, but I'm more than happy to help anyone answer these questions. And and we are actually coming to the end. I think we're good. So please, if there are.
Hey, Michelle. Yes, we got some questions, and I've got some questions queued up as well. Thank you so much for your presentation. That was great. All right, so got a few minutes, everybody. So if you have questions, drop them into the chat, and we will bring them up. So we had one from quite a while ago. This is from A. Kolch on YouTube. What's the most common term when licensing some famous IP? fixed amounts of money, or revenue share scheming, or both? I know you had covered that, but
yeah, if it's a AAA IP, expect revenue share, royalties, and a minimum guarantee, which is the minimum guarantee. So the upfront is calculated like this. Imagine your revenue forecast is 100. The royalty, you have agreed 10%. So the total forecasted royalty for the IP owner will be 10. So as an upfront, you probably will need to pay 5. Okay. But yeah, with AAA IP, it works normally like that. Not so easy to make fixed fees. But
Okay.
maybe, if you're a great negotiator, maybe you can get a fixed fee as well.
Maybe you can get whatever you want, right? This is from Cybershell Rev. Would hyper successful solo developers have a hard time managing the legalities of their IP? I wonder what hyper successful solo developers. Would a successful solo developer have a hard time managing the legalities of the IP? It's an interesting question. We all want to be hyper successful, right? So
if you're hyper successful, you don't really care about anything. No, I'm joking. But if the question is about managing the legal negotiation or managing the as long as you have if you're a solo developer, I would always recommend you hire a lawyer. Basically, if you are making so much money and you want to do anything with your game, just hire a lawyer. Just don't be solo.
Yeah. As a solo developer, you've already got a lot of stuff going on, right? You don't want to take on that. Okay, what are some of the key factors that devs should consider when they're deciding whether or not to pursue licensing deals?
Yeah, it's some of the questions I threw in my last slide. So you need to ask yourself, is there a market? Is there market potential? Does your fandom talk to the IP fandom? Also, it depends whether you already have an existing game or you are releasing a new game. I would recommend that before you get into an IP deal, you have some traction with your game, right? Or for both cases, if you are planning to do a full branded game, or if you are doing an event, in both cases, just try the mechanics, try the KPIs of your game first without the IP, and make sure everything is steady and stable before you think about incorporating an IP and taking that risk on top of all the risks you're already taking.
Okay, sorry, I'm just doing stuff in the back end over here, answering questions. Common legal pitfalls. What are some of the super common legal pitfalls in licensing deals, and how can developers mitigate those kind of risks?
Oh, that's a difficult question, because there can be so many pitfalls, actually. For example, when agreeing to the term of the collaboration, always make sure that the term starts when the collaboration is commercially out there, right? Make sure to have your full 2 years, or the full, it depends, because there are so many possible cases, but that's one, right? Just make sure that the time starts when the collaboration is out there. That's one. Everything related to money, also make sure that when you describe where the royalties come from, make sure that the net, or that the revenue definition is the right one. So you don't have to pay from money you are not touching. For example, I've seen that as well. Like, you don't want to pay your royalties from the gross, you want to pay it from the net. Also, if you can try to maybe some tricks, this is more like a magic trick. If you can convince the IP owner to pay the royalties after your UA costs, that's even better. In some cases, they might accept that, but it's very rare. But yeah, if you can deduct as much as you can from your revenue line to calculate your royalties, that's awesome.
That goes with the depends on your skills, your negotiating skills, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Free to play versus money games. Like, what is the business model different for those with IP?
Not. I mean, the process will be similar. I think maybe the difference is when the collaboration is live. When you have a free to play game, we are talking about a live experience. So you can really adapt very quickly or not so quickly. I mean, you release an update or a free to play game, you see how it's performing, and you can really take action based on that, on the performance of that update, or you can change it. With premium games, it's a little bit different. There is maybe a little bit more risk with IP implementation, I would say, because it's more fixed. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the phase previous to the implementation, I think it's very similar. I think you just need to be more careful on how you do it and how you execute the operation.
Okay, that's good. So, being in the game industry, what's your favorite game right now?
My favorite game is a game I'm producing with 2 colleagues. So I can't say much about it yet, but it has an IP attached to it.
Well, okay. So, well, I mean, that kind of makes sense that it would, right?
Yeah.
All right. So one more question for you. And I don't know if you want to call anybody out or whatever, but it's fine. Can you share examples of licensing deals that have significantly contributed to a game's success, or conversely, where a poor licensing agreement negatively affected a project?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, clearly, some of the examples I gave earlier are a good reflection of good implementations. I mean, Minion Rush. Okay, it's a game that has been live for more than 10 years now, and it has generated a lot of revenue. Same as Disney Magic Kingdoms. Here, I mean, we are talking about super big IPs and with a very good execution. I have seen games with the Lego brand. You could think, oh, a game with Lego, it should be great, it should be awesome, but the mismatch between the brand of the values of the IP and the target audience of the IP, the mismatch with the actual execution and the game genre it was applied to, it was a disaster. So again, when you are assessing IP and game, make sure it's the right fit between the mechanics and the IP nature.
And that's really good information. Bad Lego games. Whose fault is that?
I can't say.
We can't say. I know. I just wanted to end with a little bang. She's like, I am not going to say anything at all. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me see who we got next. I've got a different screen up. Next, we have my granddaughter yelling in the background. Daphne Benford Smith. Man, my tongue got all twisted up. Daphne Benford Smith. Play to Win, exploring the legal aspects indie studios need to succeed in play to win games. That's going to be really interesting. So tune in for that. Thank you so much. And if there's other questions, are you on our Discord, Michelle?
Yes.
Awesome. If you wanted to just keep an eye on the AMA questions or the post sessions chat over there, that would be awesome. And then if anybody has questions, go ahead and drop them in there. Thank you so much. Next, you're going to be seeing Daphne. Thank you.
Thanks.